Goldberg did it again. He pissed off a lot of people in this video. I'm going to tell you exactly what he had to say about All Elite Wrestling. And there's more to this than you may have already read. I'll just say that. Interesting tease, if you will. So Goldberg, well, it's pretty safe to say that he won't be in All Elite Wrestling working under Tony Khan. I think that's fair to say, wouldn't you? Because Goldberg got a lot of people talking this week due to his comments about All Elite Wrestling, a promotion which is in a very interesting space within the pro wrestling industry. And like them, Goldberg is also in a very interesting spot because Goldberg last wrestled when he lost to Roman Reigns at the Elimination Chamber PLE in 2022 before his contract with World Wrestling Entertainment expired that same year. Now, in 2023, Goldberg, he came out publicly and talked about how he wanted to do a 4-city tour on his own, and then he would see what's next regarding a potential run in a major promotion. At the time, AEW Prez, Tony Khan, he came out and said that he's keeping an eye on old Bill Goldberg, while the former WWE and WCW star has stated in the past that the two sides have spoken. So we have a 50-something-year-old Bill Goldberg who is currently a free agent and who is very bitter about the way that his pro wrestling career has ended thus far, right? And you got to take a step back for a minute because when Goldberg was in WWE, he had mixed emotions, right? His first run in 2003 to 2004, sucked. Yeah, that was it. It sucked. Yes, he started off strong. He feuded with The Rock. He beat The Rock at Backlash. And yes, they quickly turned him into a joke, but I digress. And then, do you remember the Triple H feud for the World Heavyweight title where he had to put his career on the line after being screwed over at SummerSlam in the Elimination Chamber match? So they booked the Unforgiven match, and that was during that horrific time in which Triple H was working injured, so he wore like the biker shorts because of his quad. Yeah, and Goldberg won the world title, and then he left. He left the following year. He's like, I've had enough of this. I'm miserable, right? He had that god-awful match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 20 with Stone Cold Steve Austin as the special guest referee. So not exactly how things wanted to go for old Bill Goldberg, but Uncle Bill came back in 2017, and he did the 3 series matches with Brock Lesnar. And at that point, I wish he would have stayed retired. Now, I have nothing against Bill Goldberg. Uncle Bill, I respect a lot. I think he's done tremendous work within the pro wrestling business from a marketing standpoint and a hype standpoint. His in-ring ability, not so much, but the dude has charisma out the yin-yang. And you have to appreciate that. You have to appreciate everything that he's done within the pro wrestling world. Whether you like him or you don't like him, that's up to you. Now, before I go any further in this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and consider joining our members only club. $2.99 will get you in. Awesome perks down in the comments area below. Now, Bill Goldberg, when he left WWE, when his contract expires with WWE in 2022, he made it very clear that at the time Vince McMahon promised him that if he put over Roman Reigns after having COVID and on short notice, that he would get a proper retirement match. Well, that didn't happen. His contract expired and Vince McMahon is no longer there. And so that doesn't seem very likely. And a lot of people thought he could end up in AEW, but that's not the case because Bill Goldberg just went off on AEW. While appearing on 93.7 The Ticket, the WWE Hall of Famer was asked if he had spoken with AEW Prez Tony Khan about a potential run. He said, I talked to him a number of times throughout the past. This is where you're going to get the most blunt answer you're going to get from me. The product is too cheesy. The product is too cheesy. It doesn't deserve to have whatever now you're really going to get me going. But if there was a viable option as a competitor that would allow me to still look myself in the mirror after I was a member of their roster, yeah, then it would be a consideration, but not a chance, end quote. So what is he talking about? Too cheesy. No selling? Lack of story arc? Lack of psychology? Take your pick, right? Those have been criticisms of AEW, and in a lot of ways, that's valid. But if you're Bill Goldberg, you got to sit down with Uncle Bill and you got to say, Uncle Bill, you're almost 60. I don't think AEW is clamoring to have you. And if they had been, then a deal would be made. This is what I think happened. I think Goldberg was upset that Vince McMahon didn't deliver on the retirement portion of the end of his deal. And so Goldberg, he let his deal lapse. And he goes, okay, screw it. I'm going to end my career on my terms. I'm going to go out and do this 4-city tour. And then I'll go to AEW. And then I'll get a proper retirement match. And we're off to the races. And then I think life happened. And I think whatever offer that Tony Khan was willing to make, or whatever number Bill wanted from AEW, they could not come to an agreement. And so now Bill probably doesn't have much interest from WWE to bring him back. They already put him in the Hall of Fame. There's really no reason to bring him back. It's like, and they're thriving right now. It's not like they need Bill Goldberg like it was a few years ago. So Bill's just out there, and he's kind of living life. And maybe he was insulted by the offer that Tony Khan gave him, right? We don't know. But either way, I don't think Bill Goldberg ever fit the model in AEW, right? I just don't. I think he is a different guy. He's a different guy in the sense of what they offer. He fits the WWE model way more than the AEW model. The AEW model is all about younger talent, in which you have these just amazing matches, and the matches tell the storylines, rather than in WWE, the matches are just part of the storylines, right? And Bill Goldberg, not necessarily known as the greatest in-ring worker of all time, and so it doesn't seem like a fit. And in fact, you can make the argument that ever since he left a WWE a few years ago, he was never a fit. And even towards the end of his WWE run, he wasn't a fit there either. It's okay. That's not necessarily a knock on Uncle Bill. Uncle Bill, he was a guy in a moment. And he was a guy in the chapter of WWE. He was a chapter in WCW at the time. Whether it was his first run in WWE, he fit pretty well. Whether it was his last run in WWE, when after he finished with WrestleMania 33, some could say that would have been the proper time to ride off into the sunset, right? You got inducted into the Hall of Fame, you finished up, yada, yada, yada. Well, he actually got inducted in WrestleMania 34. I digress, though, the following year. He comes out of retirement, right? He beats The Fiend for whatever reason, wins the Universal title. Poor Fiend. It's a mess, right? But that's Uncle Bill, and not all of that is Uncle Bill's fault. A lot of that is Vince McMahon's booking, and we all know how that could have been really, really wacky.